Welcome back to Vote 2024 with me, Camilla Tominey. Now, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has said he wants to make it his moral mission to bring knife crime down. This is what he said about it earlier.
I was the chief prosecutor for 5 years, and therefore I prosecuted many cases involving the use of knives, and I've made it my personal mission to deal with this. It is a moral mission as far as I'm concerned. It isn't a question of urban versus rural. In fact, I think there's more knife crime, sadly, in rural areas, or at least it's going up more quickly. And I think it's not fair on the families we've been hearing from this morning to simply point the finger to somebody else. This is something which a government needs to take responsibility for. I will take responsibility for, on a cross-party basis, to make the change that we need.
So Labour says knife-related offences have risen by 81% since 2005 across England and Wales. To discuss this issue, I'm joined now by Faron Alex Paul, who's an anti-knife crime campaigner and founder of FazAmnesty. Lovely to see you, Faron. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, you were stabbed 18 times in 2 different attacks. This happened when, Faron?
Once in 2000 and another time in 2003.
And then you took it upon yourself to basically try and rid the streets of knives. So I understand that you've collected more than 1,400 weapons in just 5 years, which is astonishing. Or more than that, do you reckon?
Yeah, no, the last count we've done is in the high parts of 4,000 weapons.
4,000? Yeah. Oh, sorry, my figures are out of date. So when you hear the Labour leader, or indeed any politician, talk about bringing knife crime down, do you find that credible, or do you think there's a complete disconnect between politicians and what's actually happening out on the streets?
Well, I feel where knife crime is now, and the governing bodies that's been responsible over the last decade or so, I believe they're a part of the reason why knife crime is where it is now.
Really?
So when you do hear somebody coming and they're offering tangible manifestos, then maybe it's something that we'd like to believe in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just ask if anybody's that's coming with these ways and these promises of how to fix knife crime, I want to know how, maybe.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what he suggested. He suggested that he wants to create a new cross-government coalition to work on solutions. So he's saying, let's not make this party political. Let's all get together, put our heads together and try and come up with some solutions. He then wants to chair an annual knife crime summit to track progress.
Once a year, right?
Yeah. But I'm looking at it and thinking, hang on a minute, you know, what are more practical solutions? Is it we need more coppers on the streets? Is it that you're going to say to me an increase in stop and search would help? Is it that we need youth workers who have disappeared over the course of recent decades? There aren't enough things for young people to do, so they get sucked into knife crime. I'd imagine it's a multifaceted approach, but in your experience, you're out in the streets dealing with people who are carrying knives, young people. What do you think would make the most difference?
I think we need to be aiming at preventive measures, and we need to be getting through to the younger children before they even are susceptible to certain behaviours or interactions. And I also think that youth provisions in terms of funding, in terms of youth centres, like they've been depleted over the years. And I just feel like if there's anybody out there that realises how detrimental youth services are to the younger people in terms of growth and in terms of guidance, like it's really, really important factor of society and into children growing. So anyone that's in a position to offer them services back into the community, then I feel like that is going to be a start of helping.
So get up close and personal with young people who are sucked into this, talk them out of it, take knives away as you've been doing, and really offer that practical help. Joining me down the line now is Anthony Olaseinde, who is the CEO of Always an Alternative, a youth organisation based in South Yorkshire. I've spoken to Faron here. I hope you might have heard that. What do you think needs to be done? Because once again here we've got some great rhetoric from the politicians, let's have cross-party summits. But again, you're on the streets. You've got these bins that you've set up where people can put knives in, no questions asked, just get rid of them, have an amnesty. What else needs to be done?
I think, well, it just needs like a reset button, if I'm being honest. We need a multi-layered approach, of course. What Faz does absolutely fundamental. Why? Because he's giving young people an option. And at the minute, young people don't have a safe option to get rid of weapons. So when they get given an option, then that's what they can use. So that is fundamental. As you said, also, we need to get them young, unfortunately, primary school age, We don't have to go in all guns blazing, knife this, knife that. We can teach them soft skills. We can teach them how to handle conflict. We can teach them how to, speak to one another and how to handle, disruptive other people. So for me, it's multi-layered. I think that the government, they're just out of touch. They come, they make these things up that sound absolutely beautiful. They do. They sound like, yes, that's what I need in my life. However, we all know it is far from the truth. I mean,
Anthony, let me just pick something up that you've said. Primary school children. I mean, how young are some of these kids with these knives?
I've dealt with a young boy. He came to me when I think he was 7. We did all we could. We offered the family help, and 2 years later, he ended up getting stabbed himself, which was absolutely crazy. It's heartbreaking, it's happening. It's a real thing, and it needs the attention.
But you agree with Faron that what this is really about is one-to-one help? It's embedding people who can relate to children in the community. I mean, perhaps more than police officers. Is the relationship between the police and young people, particularly in ethnic minority communities, just not what it once was, Anthony, finally?
I don't think it is anyway. I think the police need to understand that, that relationship that was once held years ago when there was community police around, that has long gone, and people don't trust the police as much as they do. I've had accounts where people have had their houses robbed. The police don't even go to see them. They just give them an incident report number. People don't want that. People want to feel supported and they want to feel safe. And this is why a lot of people are carrying weapons, because they simply don't feel safe on the streets.
So actual police numbers would be a start. Increasing community policing, Anthony, finally.
Yeah, I don't think the increase of police isn't the issue, because, prisons are full. I think it's training those police that we have got to be community-based and work within communities and sort out those issues within communities and branch out.
OK, Anthony, Faron, thank you very much indeed for your expertise.